Hi there, welcome to Chainlink Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. And previously we talked about a potential pessimistic scenario for Chainlink. And well, like it or not, due to yesterday's events, it seems like it has been realized. So let's take a look at both the weekly and daily charts and see, you know, how bad it is, and it is really that pessimistic. And if you're new to my sessions, these are the takeaways that you usually get from my sessions. The Wyckoff stages, both current and what to expect next, key price levels that we have to observe where prices would potentially bounce either up or down, and then eventually any breakout timing based on the price actions. So this weekly chart over here, previously we have put in this tag saying there's a 70% chance for the price to come down to around the green key level of 19 cents, $19.20 to show us a sign of weakness, and this is now confirmed. So the sad part or pessimistic part that I mentioned is that because we talked about this descending trend line, this white dashed line over here, that extends from the upwards of the distribution back in May 2021. So last time when we had the buying climax back in December 2024, it peaked about that level, around that dashed line. And this time, that's the hypothesis that I have raised to the community, including like you, saying, hey, it seems like we are hitting a point on the declining peaks trend. And I don't really want that to be a realistic thing, because that means Chainlink is going through a declining value as a journey, and that leads to lower return if that continues. So meaning if it really is the blue scenario that we had the buying climax back in mid-August, and what we have gone through immediately after was the automatic reaction, and then a second test subsequently during early September, and then an LPSY just a week ago, last point of supply. And now we are, well, this is, technically speaking, it's not that, but let's put it further down the timeline. But that's probably something that's going to happen. It's sign of weakness, because what we had here back in January this year, that was the sign of weakness back then. It's very similar to what happened over there. Subsequently, the price dropped and closed below the green line, and eventually that's where it gets to the selling climax. So we are having the sign of weakness now, and that's not a question mark anymore. The question mark is whether it's going to come up to bounce and maybe suppressed by the light blue key level of $22, and then eventually comes back down to challenge the yellow key level, much like what happened here back in February just this year. So when that happens, that may be a sign of a re-entry to a bigger accumulation cycle, and this time there is much less room. So if the selling climax comes back to around the red key level of $13.10 and closes around that level, it's going to confirm one thing as well. We've got a a higher low trend line that started from June 2023. It's interesting to look at this because in such a bigger time frame, the weekly, we are seeing a mega wedge over here. So that's seemingly pointing to a point where Chainlink is going to swing really big. yesterday drop has kind of indicated that the yellow dashed line may not be as solid as the declining peak trend line, the white line, because it pops through the yellow dashed line so quickly, and also even through the midline of this long-term playground zone. So basically what happened yesterday has gone into somewhere near the selling climax back in August 2024, and also the high of the long accumulation cycle back in 2022 all the way into the end of 2023. So 1.5 years over there. You see all these sign of strength peaks landed at the same level on the place where I was talking about. So when I draw a line over here, you see yesterday's drop stopped right at that point. Likewise for the selling climax, also stopped somewhere near this line. And all these sign of strengths was rejected at this level. So it's kind of interesting to see that this kind of support is still effective even after that many years. So when some people tell you that the price wouldn't go back to where they were, now you've got the proof that it's totally not true. It can, in fact, go very deep, back to some price levels back in like 3 or 4 years in history. So back to this big picture. All these, we talk about the potential of getting to a new accumulation. I would say that's probably 7%, 70% now. So this path towards the LPSY and then eventually coming down is the same event. So I'll just put the 70% over here. This is still 30% to the upside, but not only because of the event that happened, it's also because of this downward trend line that getting above the purple or even getting to the purple is really hard for Chainlink. So Bollinger Band counter squeeze, not much at the moment. Daily time frame, just to quickly check, we've got a squeeze happening right now for the Bollinger Band counter squeeze, and that means the price swing or a bigger price swing is going to come or continue. Also, when we look at what happened yesterday and today, the price has fallen outside of this downward trend box. This channel, when you are already in the descending channel and the price has fallen through it, and the bottom of the channel box now becomes the resistance line of the price trying to climb back to the channel, it's a very, I don't want to say bearish, it's already bearish. It's the bear within the bear. So let me extend the center line, because we're seeing some time points over here. Assuming if the price continues to trade within this little triangle that's been created between the yellow key level of $17 roughly, yeah, $17.10, and also the bottom edge of this channel box. The time point we're seeing here is in about or roughly less than 2 weeks time. So assuming the price still continues to trade within this triangle, eventually it has to break out, right? So it can't stay within the triangle anymore. Either it breaks back into the channel box, then it will continue the behavior that I shared in many sessions. It basically bounces between the two edges, or sometimes it bounces off the center line. So that's the positive scenario, returning at least to this channel that's still declining but less worrying than the second scenario I'm going to talk about. Breaking below the yellow key level and this white line eventually challenging the orange and gets to the selling climax. That's the even more bearish scenario. This white line over here is the ceiling of the long-term playground zone. The long-term playground zone, if I extend it over here, you see basically starting from somewhere back in 2019, the price has been trading within this long-term playground zone. Only the very crazy distribution time that the prices are outside of it, and it contributes to roughly less than 20% of the time. Of course, along with time, we have to adjust this box, because if for whatever reason, inflation, all that the base price is no longer at such a low, we have to extend or expand the box to cover an appropriate range. So this downtrend, unfortunately, now has a lower ceiling until the price successfully regained entry into this downward channel. If not, then obviously we have this LPSY, and now this is not even a sign of weakness anymore. We had a second one right across over there around September time, and this low point here, interestingly, there was a mini distribution, but considering the magnitude of what we're having, this to me again is a sign of weakness, but that it corresponds to the sign of weakness back in August this year, that mini or the beginning of this mega or bigger distribution. So we are really near the end of it, and if it comes further down, like I said, we're just going to enter into a new accumulation cycle. I'm just trying to pull this PS tag over here as well, in case it really is coming down in the next few days before we even come back for the next session. So let's quickly check if it bounces up. Yeah, it's really tricky for Chainlink. It seems like it's really has a lower distribution cycle, but then who knows, right? If suddenly the US and China make good again, we may have a chance to see an upthrust. Just that whether it's going to stop around the blue key level or the purple key level, that's going to be a different story, like I already mentioned. This one, more pessimistic long term, until the mega breakout happen. If it's at the purple, it's a bit more relieving, at least it's staying flat for the peaks, meaning the speculative or the investment value of Chainlink hasn't declined as much as we think. So, hey, sleepy always. How far dogs could go? I don't randomly guess. I need to put in the analysis, so I don't have an answer for you, but I just did the Dogecoin session like 30 minutes ago, so if you're interested, you can take a look at that. And thanks for joining me today. See you tomorrow. Yeah, we still have sessions tomorrow.